This is breaking news on KCCI 8 News.
A first-degree murder charge was filed today in connection with the disappearance of Molly Tibbetts, who was last seen jogging in Brooklyn, Iowa on July 18, 2018.
Heartbreaking news tonight. After more than a month, the search for missing 20-year-old Molly Tibbetts comes to a tragic end south of her hometown of Brooklyn, Iowa. KCCI was the first to bring you the news early this morning.
Investigators told us that they had found that they believed to be the body of Molly Tibbetts. It was discovered near the intersection of Iowa Highway 21 and 460th Avenue. That's in rural Poweshiek County, just south of the town of Guernsey and southeast of Brooklyn, where Tibbetts was last seen on July 18th.
The DCI says the body was found in a cornfield. It was covered with corn stalks. Law enforcement blocked off the road leading to the field as investigators and the medical examiner came to process the scene. We have Team 8 coverage tonight. KCCI's Todd Magel is outside Guernsey where the body was found. Lauren Donovan is in Tibbetts' hometown of Brooklyn with reaction to today's tragic news.
But we begin tonight with KCCI's Laura Terrell. She's live in Montezuma outside the Poweshiek County Courthouse where investigators just wrapped up a news conference a short time ago. And Laura, it has been an emotional day for everyone, even for the investigators involved in this more than month-long case.
A very emotional day, and we're finally getting some answers as to what happened to 20-year-old Molly Tibbetts. Today, authorities charged 24-year-old Christian Rivera. They say he is of illegal status here in the United States, and he's been here from anywhere from 4 to 7 years. Now, they explained in great detail today at this press conference what happened. They say surveillance video was a big break in the case. Someone in Brooklyn had surveillance video, turned it over to authorities about 2 weeks ago. They combed through that surveillance video. On it, they found a snippet of Molly jogging. They also saw a black Malibu. They traced that Malibu to Rivera. They questioned him yesterday and into today, where he admitted that he saw Molly Tibbetts running, ran alongside of her to try to talk to her. At one point, he said she got out her phone and said she was going to call police. He panicked. He told investigators he, quote, blacked out after that, but remembers seeing blood coming from her head. He remembers putting her in his trunk, and he remembers taking her to a cornfield southeast of Brooklyn, where he led authorities to her body today. Authorities say this has been an incredibly emotional month as they have investigated her disappearance, and they explain in this soundbite how the family's doing. Take a listen.
Well, they're appreciative that we were able to find her, but obviously it's difficult. It's hard on them. They're struggling like any family would. But they have a great support system, and they have part of that support system is the community. Now, I will have to say that the community here has been phenomenal. They have been of great assistance to the investigation and to the family, and so they will get through it. I'm sure it's going to be hard, but we will be there for them.
Now, authorities are not releasing a cause of death or how long they believe Molly's body was in this cornfield. They say there's details that they only want to know so that they can bring this to court and have a fair trial. So that's information that they are not releasing. We will continue to follow this developing story, as well as what's next in this case, as well as a court appearance for their suspect, Christian Rivera. Steve and Stacy.
All right, Laura, thank you. Now, this is what we know about the suspect in Tibbetts' murder. Christian Rivera, born June 11th, 1994, 5 feet 6 inches tall, 130 pounds. The Department of Homeland Security confirms that Rivera has been in the United States illegally for several years. The DCI confirms he's been in the Poweshiek County area for 4 to 7 years. Now, as we told you earlier, investigators have been on the scene where Tibbetts' body was found since early this morning.
KCCI's Todd Magel has been at the intersection of Iowa Highway 21 and 460th Avenue in Poweshiek County pretty much all day, watching investigators come and go from the scene. He joins us now live. And Todd, is this still an active scene, or have the investigators left?
Steve and Stacy, we have been here most of the day. 460th Highway 21, Guernsey and I-80 and Her hometown of Brooklyn is just about 10 miles to our north. Behind me is the road that's been closed all day, and just up this road in a farm field is where they found Molly Tibbitt's body early this morning. And again, as Laura Terrell mentioned, that the suspect in this case, Mr. Christian Rivera, actually led them to the body. We've shot some video throughout the day where this has been really the hot spot in Powashik County, where law enforcement have been most of the day. We've seen FBI cars, DCI cars. The state medical examiner has been in and out of this, presumably to investigate. We saw the crime scene unit here as well most of the day today. What we are hearing is that Mr. Rivera apparently told investigators that this is where he dropped the body off. He drove down this gravel road, found a turn, turned into what looked like an abandoned area, an area of not good visibility, went into the cornfield, took her out of the trunk, placed her into a very remote section of a cornfield, covered her body with leaves from corn stalks, and then left. And of course, that is the tragic news that nobody really wanted to hear today. Later on in the newscast, we'll show you some drone video. It's kind of hard to see the scene because we are quite a ways away from where it is here in rural Powashik County. So the next step is to get to the scene at some point, see if we can see that, and talk to some of the neighbors. Some people have been going in and out, farmers who live in this area, and of course they've been aware of this going on all day here in Powashik County. We're live near Guernsey. Todd Magel, KCCI 8 News, Iowa's news leader.
Thank you, Todd. Chilling detail today from the DCI. Now that investigators have recovered Molly Tibbitt's body, the forensic work has only just begun. As CBS News security analyst Ron Hosko shows us, the investigators are now looking for some very specific evidence.
They're going to comb over that body in great detail for signs that indicated signs indicative of a struggle, for DNA of a potential offender.
After more than a month of searching and praying for Molly's safe return, today's news has hit the town of Brooklyn hard. KCCI's Lauren Donovan has been in Tibbitt's hometown of Brooklyn all day as the tragic news moved through the community. Lauren joins us live. What are folks there saying tonight, Lauren?
Stacy, we're at a popular spot here in Tibbitt's hometown of Brooklyn, the Classic. It's a deli downtown, and I sat down with 3 young women who work here this afternoon, and we watched this press conference unfold together. And these young women describe this community as both open and accepting, but given the man charged as an undocumented immigrant, they feel as though this tight-knit Brooklyn community is about to change forever. And though Brooklyn has become known as the home of Molly Tibbitts, in the past it's been known as a community of flags from all over the world. You can see them right here downtown, but from speaking to these young women and other people around Brooklyn, many here are afraid. Now Brooklyn will become known home as the heart of a divisive political debate.
Lauren Donovan live in Brooklyn tonight. Tibbitt's body will now undergo an autopsy. CBS News talked to Mary Ellen O'Toole, a former FBI profiler, who says at this point the investigation is in the hands of scientists.
At this point now, the hard science kicks in. People want to be very reserved until we get that report from the medical examiner, which is going to be very telling, and that's going to be the hard science.
Well, the Molly Tibbitt's case has been closely watched by people all across the country.
It has. The tragic news today that Tibbitt's body was found has prompted reaction from Governor Reynolds. In a statement released shortly after the arrest announcement was made, Reynolds said, "Today our state woke up to heart-wrenching news. As a mother, I can't imagine the sorrow felt by the Tibbitts family. We're all suffering over the death of Molly, knowing that it could have been our daughter, sister, or friend." Reynolds continues, "I spoke with Molly's family and passed on the heartfelt condolences of a grieving state. I shared with them my hope that they can find comfort, knowing that God does not leave us to suffer alone." Over the past month, thousands of Iowans searched and prayed for Molly's safe return. Now we are called to come together once again to lift up a grieving family. The search for Molly is over, but the demand for justice has just begun. Reynolds closed her statement with this: "As Iowans, we are heartbroken and we are angry. We are angry that a broken immigration system allowed a predator like this to live in our community, and we will do all we can to bring justice to Molly's killer.
Governor Reynolds is the highest profile Iowan to bring immigration into the discussion following today's announcement and arrest. KCCI's Chris Gothner talked to a leader of Central Iowa's Latino community on how they are responding to this. Chris?
Well, Stacey, Joe Henry, who's the head of the League of United Latin American Citizens here in Des Moines, says the news that investigators found Molly Tibbetts' body is, of course, heartbreaking. But he says with rhetoric already heating up online, it's important to note that while investigators say the suspect in this case was here illegally, he is just one person and doesn't represent an entire group of people.
It was a crime committed by an individual, not by a community. We cannot pigeonhole people into groups. It's just it's unfair. There's no reasoning, no science behind it. That cannot be done.
Henry says crimes can be committed by anyone. He says his heart goes out to Molly's family. Stacey, Steve.
Thank you, Chris. Well, the Tibbetts case has drawn support and attention from all across the country since it started more than a month ago.
It was back on July 18th that Molly Tibbetts' boyfriend heard from her for the last time. July 18th, Molly Tibbetts was dog watching at the home of her boyfriend's brother in Brooklyn. Her boyfriend, Dalton Jack, says he received a Snapchat message from Tibbetts around 10 o'clock that night. July 19th, workers at a Grinnell daycare call Jack and tell him Molly did not show up for work. Jack and Tibbetts' family immediately get on their phones, but receive no replies to calls or text messages. The Poweshiek County Sheriff's Office then starts a search. Deputies divided the Brooklyn area into quadrants. They also began going through Tibbetts' social media accounts for clues. July 28th, a reward fund is started with a $2,000 donation from the local Rural Electric Cooperative for information in the Tibbetts case. The reward fund skyrockets in the weeks to come to almost $400,000.
I can say that we have a timeline that we're confident in.
Just 3 days later, on July 31st, investigators hold a press conference to update the public on the search, but they have very little information to share. August 1st, Waterloo residents hold a vigil to pray for the safe return of both Molly Tibbetts and missing LaPorte City teenager Jake Wilson, who disappeared from his hometown in April. August 2nd, Crime Stoppers holds a press conference with the Tibbetts family and her boyfriend. Molly's father, Rob Tibbetts, pleads for his daughter's safe return and asks whoever took her to turn themselves in.
The family's holding up just fine. We're setting our personal feelings aside. This is a fight for our daughter.
It's frustrating for everybody. It's frustrating for the investigative team, it's frustrating for us, and it's particularly frustrating for the family and friends of Molly.
The day after the Crime Stoppers press conference, the Iowa Division of Criminal Investigation voices its frustration over the lack of information in the case. Over the next few days, this man, Wayne Cheney of Deep River, Iowa, says he has been questioned several times by investigators. He even took a polygraph to clear himself. August 10th, Rob Tibbetts and Molly's boyfriend, Dalton Jack, come to Des Moines in the Iowa State Fair to hand out posters and buttons to draw more attention to the case.
Just hang in there, Pi. We're going to come get you. Everybody's looking. Just hang in there. It's just a matter of time.
August 13th, the Iowa DCI unveils its Finding Molly website, asking people who may have seen anything in 5 locations around the city of Brooklyn on July 18th to please contact investigators.
I just want Molly's family to know you're on the hearts of every American, and we will continue to work and we will continue to pray for Molly's safe return.
Throughout the search, the Molly Tibbetts case captures national attention. During a visit to Des Moines on August 15th, Vice President Mike Pence vows that the Trump administration will do everything it can to help.
Our KCCI crews are collecting more information on this developing story. Watch for their live updates throughout this hour-long broadcast.
And on a day when the whole state is mourning the death of Molly Tibbetts, we fittingly have some gloomy weather.
Yeah, it's a cloudy day out there, a cool day. That's what's very unusual about the day. Temperatures well below normal for this time of year. Take you out to Principal Park. Temperature there, 73 degrees, a little bit of a north breeze. Clouds have broken up just a bit, but it's going to be a tranquil evening. Temperatures drop down quickly into the 60s by 9 p.m. 11 p.m. 65. Overnight lows dip all the way down into the 50s. Another quiet day tomorrow. The sunshine will break out. More sunshine the farther northeast you are. A few more clouds off to the west. But look at these temperatures. A day in the 70s. A few locations will creep near 80 degrees. There is some heat on the way in your 8-day forecast. Details coming up.
It has gone from a missing persons case to a first-degree murder investigation. Coming up, a live update on the Molly Tibbetts case.
Coming out of this road.
This is Iowa's news leader, KCCI 8 News at 6.
Thank you for choosing KCCI tonight on this very important day. We have more on tonight's top story. An arrest is made in the disappearance and murder of Molly Tibbetts of Brooklyn.
KCCI's Laura Terrell is in Montezuma, where the DCI held a news conference describing how they found what is believed to be Tibbetts' body and how they tracked down her suspected killer. Laura?
Yes, authorities say surveillance video was a huge break in this case. From that video, they were able to see a black Malibu. They traced that Malibu to their suspect, 24-year-old Christian Rivera. Now, they interrogated him overnight. They say 24-year-old Rivera admitted to abducting Molly Tibbetts, and he led them to what they believe is her body earlier this morning. That was southeast of Brooklyn in a cornfield. Now, authorities say this surveillance video, they got it about 2 weeks ago, and they were meticulously combing through it. There was a split second on that video where you see Molly Tibbetts running, authorities say. They also saw a black Malibu. They traced that Malibu to their suspect. They found him today. They say Rivera is an undocumented immigrant who had been in the area for about 4 to 7 years. He had no real connection that they know of to Molly Tibbetts, but he did tell them that he had seen her before. So it's unclear exactly a motive, why he did this, but he did reveal a lot of details as authorities interrogated him, and they explained that in this. Take a listen.
And during that interview, he tells us that he sees Molly running and was able to come upon her, approach her, and while he was interfacing with her, he actually tells us that he ran alongside of her or behind her. And then at one point, he tells us that Molly grabbed a hold of her phone and said, "You need to leave me alone. I'm going to call the police." And then she took off running. He in turn chased her down. And then he tells us that at some point in time he blacks out, and then he comes to near an intersection in which we believe he then placed Molly.
After Rivera blacked out, authorities say he eventually told them that he remembers seeing blood coming from Tibbetts' head, as well as he remembers putting her in his trunk and taking her to this cornfield. So as we mentioned, authorities not releasing a specific cause of death. That's something that they don't know until the autopsy is complete, and they also don't really want to reveal as this case is going to go to trial. We are trying to learn more information about our suspect as this story develops, and we will keep you posted. Steve and Stacy.
Laura, thank you. People in the community of Brooklyn are still trying to come to terms with today's news that Molly Tibbetts was murdered. KCCI's Lauren Donovan has been in Tibbetts' hometown of Brooklyn all day as this tragic news moved through the community. Lauren, what are folks there saying tonight?
Many people here in Brooklyn, Stacy, were holding out high hopes as a month has passed since her disappearance that Molly Tibbetts may have shown up. But today, all those hopes were shot at around 7 this morning as the news began to break. You can see posters are still up here in many storefronts, but we'll take you down this way. There was a very well-known large poster posted up right here in front of the Timepiece Theater that has been taken down. Now, we saw crews doing that work in these stores earlier today. But these streets have become much more familiar to national media figures. You can see CBS News is right out here from New York, and the people in town have gotten used to these media figures. Though today, many people are unsettled by what has happened and are actually apprehensive and afraid to talk about it. Many have been upset, though, speaking to us off camera about what is going on as this news has been breaking since 4 o'clock today, and we actually have a suspect now charged. We'll continue to bring you those live updates from Brooklyn, but here's a look at the streets right now.
Molly Tibbetts would have resumed classes at the University of Iowa this fall. She would have been a sophomore. Classes resumed yesterday. The news that Tibbetts' body was found and that she was murdered hit the campus hard. Dr. Melissa Shivers, Vice President for Student Life, released a statement saying, quote, "We are deeply saddened that we have lost a member of the University of Iowa community. Our thoughts are with Molly Tibbetts' family, friends, and classmates." The statement goes on to say, losing a fellow student and member of our Hawkeye family is difficult. President Harold and I share in your grief and encourage you to reach out if you are in need of support. The university is offering 3 helplines for students or faculty who need help coping with Molly Tibbetts' death.
Just northeast of Tibbetts' hometown of Brooklyn, Blackhawk County investigators are waiting for the results of DNA testing to positively identify a body believed to be that of 16-year-old Jake Wilson of LaPorte City, who's been missing since April 7th. Kayakers discovered the body on August 14th in Wolk Creek, just south of LaPorte City. Investigators say evidence at the scene leads them to believe it is indeed Jake Wilson. They say the body was found in an area they had searched repeatedly. They are also trying to determine the cause of death.
Now we want to check back in with Chief Meteorologist Curtis Gertz. Curtis, it's a lot cooler today, but the heat is going to make a return.
Yeah. I mean, it has abated out there. A cool day, but the heat is set to return. It's just going to take a little bit of time to get here. Outside right now, mostly cloudy skies. The temperature 73 degrees, dew point 61. Little bit of a north breeze too. If you're up early today, it definitely felt cool with that north wind blowing. The high today is 75. Last time we were cooler than this, about 61 days ago, and when it was 74 degrees back on June 22nd as we just started summer. So a pretty unusual day for this time of year. Going to be comfortable though for the barbecue. If you're headed out 7 p.m. 72 degrees. By 9 p.m. though, that temperature cooling down into the upper 60s. Our big area of low pressure that brought all the rain has now moved well off to the east. We do have some cloud cover drifting on through, but it looks like high pressure is going to settle in here and bring us an absolutely wonderful Wednesday. Then off to the southwest, system's going to spin on in, and this will bring with it a pretty good chance of some rain. It's starting to look like the timing details on that Thursday night into Friday morning. If you're traveling, you're going to run into pretty cool temperatures for this time of year across the Midwest. 75 Indianapolis, Chicago 78, 82 Minneapolis, and then you run into some showers and just 60s out in western Nebraska. Rain in Dodge City 76. Hour by hour, we clear out a bit overnight. Tomorrow starts out in the 50s. Afternoon going to be beautiful out there though with sunshine. Clouds slowly increase, although I think on Thursday we'll start with sunshine. Clouds move in as the day goes along. Afternoon, a slight chance of a shower, 3 to maybe 5 o'clock, but it looks like a much better chance of rain as we head into Friday night and Thursday night, Friday morning before this system pulls on out. At least for now, football Friday night looks to be dry. Clearing skies tonight, 55 degrees. Sun goes down, 8:05. Tomorrow, that high 79 with sunshine. It's going to feel so good. North to northwest winds at 5 to 10 miles an hour. Thursday starting out in the 50s, just 73 for high. Maybe an afternoon shower. It looks like a much better chance Thursday night and Friday morning. Friday afternoon, 86. The heat definitely moves in. It looks like 90s for the weekend, early next week, and then 80s to finish out the week next week.
Thank you, Curtis. Nick Tabbert in for Sports Director Scott Reister tonight.
That's right. Akram Wadley is gonzo. James Butler is out of here. And the Iowa Hawkeyes now have a better idea of who's going to play running back.
Brian Ferentz likes 3 guys in camp. One, though, has separated himself as the starter.
Now, here's Nick Tabbert with KCCI 8 Sports, powered by Fairway.
Still no word on who will start at linebacker for Iowa, but we know who is in line to play running back. Brian Ferentz says Ivory Kelly Martin has established himself as the #1 guy. Kelly Martin ran for 184 yards and 3 touchdowns last season. As a true freshman, Ferentz likes him for his versatility and ability to play all 4 downs. Ferentz also says the Hawks still plan to use at least 3 running backs because he really likes what Torrin Young and Mekhi Sargent have done in camp. The sting of 2017 still fresh for Johnston football. The Dragons have turned that playoff loss to Dowling into motivation for 2018. Johnston features 7 3-year starters and added transfer defensive end Cody Lemon from DCG. The Dragons are eager to end their UNI Dome drought.
The season's going to be just limit our mistakes every game, and by the time we get to that point and when it matters, we better have no mistakes to get to that dome.
I feel like we always have that motivation to make it there. I think this is the year, though, that we can actually make it there and hopefully state championship.
Johnston opens the season Friday night at Urbandale. Darvish, Chicago's prized off-season addition, is done for the season with stress reaction on his elbow. Darvish walked off the mound in pain over the weekend during a rehab start. He's been on the disabled list since May. Also for the Cubs this afternoon, they acquired Daniel Murphy from the Nationals for Andrew Monastero. Murphy, a veteran infielder with postseason experience. And the Iowa Corn 300 won't have the Iowa Corn next season. The title sponsor for the annual IndyCar race in Newton has ended its sponsorship after 12 seasons. Iowa Corn says it wants to explore new avenues to market itself next year.
Nick, thank you.
Curtis is marketing the weather forecast again right after this. Curtis back, and buddy, it's really comfortable.
Yeah, it is, isn't it something? Especially when you get up early, it's going to feel crisp. So nice. Temperatures in the 50s tomorrow morning, a high 79 with sunshine. Thursday, that rain chance really looks like late, and Friday would be early. Look at the heat build, though. By the weekend, the 90s bump in, just a slight chance of a morning shower on Sunday. Early next week looks to start out dry and fairly tranquil.
Thank you, Curtis. We have much more on the Molly Tibbetts case coming up in our second half hour of an hour-long KCCI 8 News at 6.
We'll also have the latest from Washington. There are convictions in the Paul Manafort trial and a plea agreement involving President Trump's former lawyer, Michael Cohen. Stay right here. We'll be right back.